Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is lay out my flag pieces on a flat surface. And you'll notice that my colors are different from yours. And that's okay. I'm using different fabrics just to do my sample. But the similarities that you will have with what I'm doing here is that you will have one color family for the 3 big pieces and another color family for the 2 smaller pieces. The larger pieces will be the darkest here to the left, which will have the casing on it, the medium tone in the center, and the lightest will be to the right. And then the 2 other pieces will also be darkest to the left, and yours will be lame. So the dark lame goes to the left, and the lighter lame goes to the right. And you just want to lay them out and make sure you have that top curving down this way and the bottom curving down this way to make sure we have all the pieces in the right order and placed right. So next I've taken that first dark lame piece and I've pinned it right sides together to my first big dark piece right here, and I'm going to just do a standard straight stitch about 3/8 inches from this edge. Alright, just to talk about thread and machine settings for a second, I'm using just a plain purple thread because I'm using purple. You could use probably a black or white, or if you wanted to find a color of thread that more closely matched the color of the fabric you're using, that's fine too. I just don't want to use like a neon green or anything that's going to stand way out on the fabric, but most threads from a distance you're not going to be able to tell what color it is. I'm also using a smaller needle. It keeps the fabric from puckering. I believe this needle is a 12. You could use a 12 or a 10, which would probably be fine. Anything larger than that, I find that it makes this fabric pucker a little bit as you're stitching it. I'm also using a 3 as far as the length on my stitch, and it's just a regular straight stitch. Now that I've completed my first straight stitch, I'm going to press this seam open, and you can do this with an iron, or you can just be careful to make sure that it's all the way open before we pin it around the other side. So I'm going to fold that piece under. It's difficult to do with one hand. So I have the seam right on the edge there, and I'm going to pin it this way and do another seam about 3/8 of an inch from the edge here. Pinned, I've got my dark fabric on this side, I have my lame strip on the other, and I'm going to stitch 3/8 of an inch from this edge here. I've completed my second stitch, and I'm now going to press this open, making sure the back part of the seam opens all the way, and I'm going to flatten this down to one side, and then I'm going to stitch right along this edge here to keep that part down. And here is what our completed seam looks like. So there's the front with our 2 rows of stitching, and there's the back with our seam and 1 row of stitching. So now we want to repeat the process of making this seam for each seam. So this one here, for this one here, and this one here. To finish the edges of this flag, I tucked the edge under about 1/4 inch and then flipped it over and tucked it under about another 1/4 inch. And you can iron it if you'd like to press that flat, or you can just pin it and stitch along this edge, this inside edge here. So I went all the way down the top edge like that, and then I did the same thing to the bottom edge. From there I did the same thing to this end over here. So tuck it under a 1/4 inch, tuck it under another 1/4 inch, and stitch along the edge here. And then I did the casing. Now the casing, this is where the pole goes through for the flag. I tuck the far end under a 1/4 inch and stitch it. And then I'm going to measure. Find my ruler here. I'm going to measure 2.5 inches from the edge, so I'm folding over 2.5 inches, pinning that down, and then I'm going to edge stitch that all the way down here. So we now have a nice little pocket for our flagpole to go through. And there's our finished flag.